Hi guys. So I've been asked many times to do a comparison video between the Hong Kong import carb and the original carb of the Nissan 1400. And also I've never done a video where I rebuilt the Nissan 1400 carb. So this video is going to be it. I'm going to compare the two. I especially bought a Hong Kong carb and I bought an original Hitachi Nissan carb, and in this video I'm going to compare as much as I can and then also rebuild the original carby. If you look at the two like that, they pretty much look the same. This is the Hong Kong one and this is the original one. This has got brass plates in. I don't know if it's genuine brass, but they're brass colored. 26 hole, 30 hole, same year. 26 hole, 30 hole. I noticed this one has got a hole there that the other one hasn't got, and we get to the bottom of that. But all in all, like that, on this side of it, it pretty much looks the same. I'll start taking it apart and then do the rest of the comparisons. So I've taken the two apart, and immediately I can see that auxiliary Venturi on the Hong Kong and the one on the original are not the same. And just I can also see that that's on the secondary. On the first stage, they're also not the same. So, but I'll take them apart and measure and see what the difference is. Because I've heard a lot of guys say they put these on and then the vehicle doesn't perform correct, and it's quite heavy on fuel. And it could be to do with the Venturis, auxiliary Venturis, and the jetty Hong Kong compared to the original one. Whoever took this carby apart in the past also put it together wrong, but it doesn't matter. We'll service this one and put it together. So I've taken the emulsion tubes out, and this is the first choke on the right hand side. That's the first choke. So there's the air jet, and there's the emulsion tube for the first choke. That's the 65, and obviously that's the emulsion tube. I'll check the number now. And there's the one for the second choke. If you compare that to the Hong Kong one, that's the Hong Kong one. First choke's pretty much the same, but the second choke is way different. So that'll obviously have an effect on performance. The jet sizes are pretty much the same. There's not much difference there, but that's gonna have an effect on performance. I haven't checked the size of the holes and the amount of holes in these emulsion tubes, but they look about the same on the first choke, but on the second choke clearly there's a big difference. So on the original carby, the Venturis, it's cast into the body. On the first choke, apologies, it's a 22, and on the second choke it's a 27. So on the Hong Kong carby, there's nothing there that I can see, so it means I'm going to have to measure it. I'm not going to record when I measure because I only have two hands, so I'm going to measure it and then just give you the results. So like I said, this was a 22 and a 27. This is actually a 20, and it looks like a 27. So if you look what I did here, see it fits nicely in there on the first choke on the Hong Kong, and if I come to the proper carby, you'll see that it'll actually fall in there. Just something very interesting on this carb. So this is supposed to have a ball down the bottom there, and whoever built this carby before has decided to put the plunger for the pump. It's supposed to be in there. So in the bottom there, it's supposed to be a little ball that acts as a non-return valve, and this plunger that also acts as a non-return valve is supposed to be in there to give it a bit of weight. So someone has done this incorrectly, probably why they gave up on the carb and sold it. You can see on the Hong Kong one, there's the little ball down the bottom and the plunger. So on the carb tops, everything looks pretty much the same. There's no numbers on these jets, but they are about the same size. I haven't checked it with the jet gauge, but they are about the same size as the originals. All of that looks about the same. Float and all of that looks about the same. So this is pretty much a good copy of that. So no reason why this top can't work and fit on a genuine carby. There's nothing on here that I can see that'll not make it function like it should, and there's nothing on here that'll not make it fit on the original car body. I will fit it a bit later just to confirm, but there's nothing that I can pick up that's not the same. To me, it should work. So I've taken the two needling seats out. Obviously this is the original one. The original one is a 2, and the one in the Hong Kong carby is a 1.5. I was told a long time ago that these Hong Kong carbs were actually a copy of a 1200 carb. And if I look at the Venturis, that's smaller, and the smaller inlet hole on the needling seat, it would confirm to me that it is in fact a copy of a 1200 carb. So if you're going to put this on a 1400 or on a 1500, you're going to starve of fuel, because that 1.5 is not going to give you enough fuel. Here you can clearly see the 2 and the 1.5. I purchased one of these carb kits, Kaiser, Japanese made, to rebuild this carby, and you can see there, this one is specifically for a 1400. Yeah, models doesn't really matter, because yeah, by us I think we had them up to 2008 or something like that. It's not important. The year model is not important. They're all the same. But if you look over here, you can clearly see this is the one out of the original carb. Look at the hole in the middle, how big it is. That's the 2 mil. This is the one out of the Hong Kong carby. You can see how small that center hole is that allows the fuel to go in. And this is the one out of the kit. This one in the kit still have the needling seat in it, so that's where you can't see through. You can see also that's quite big. That's also a 2 millimeter. So this is definitely too small for a 1400 or a 815 or 814, 815. It's not going to work. You're going to starve of fuel. So I've had a lot of guys in the past tell me that these Hong Kong kits are actually a copy of a 1200 carb, and what I found now would indicate that it is. I can't confirm that it is, but it would indicate that it is, because the first choke Venturi is too small, and the jet sizes look okay to me. There's no size on them. I have to check them with my jet gauge, but it doesn't really matter. And then of course the needling seat, the main hole in the needling seat. So you're going to starve when you're cruising on the highway, or you're riding with a bit of load or whatever, and you're using fuel because you need to produce power. You're going up a hill with a load or whatever. Eventually your car is gonna start searching for fuel, because it's not going to allow enough fuel in. And when you stop and it goes back to normal idle, float level and everything is going to look okay. So, you know, if you don't know this, you'll probably never find why your car doesn't want to run properly. And also, if you want to run top speed, you're not going to be able to do it with this car. You're going to be down on power, definitely. So let's strip it further and see what more we find. So I've stripped both idle circuits, not entirely, because anti-dieseling solenoid is still in here. But on the original carby, you've got your idle jet with a cap. Idle jet goes in there, that cap goes on top, and that little hole there is air correction. And on the Hong Kong carb, it looks looks like that, completely different to the 1400. I'm assuming that's the jet size at the bottom, but it doesn't have a seat that it seals against. And also there's no air correction there. So when you this original one gets its fuel from the bottom of the fuel well of the first choke, and you can see the fuel squirting out of there when I spray it, and that's correct. That's your unloading. However, on this one, I'm not quite sure where the idle circuit gets its fuel from. I need to down the bottom there. Okay, which is also the same fuel well. Okay, there we go. It was just empty. So okay, they get the fuel from the same places. This one has got that air correction jet there. This one doesn't. And the circuits, the jetting of the two circuits look different. Don't know why, but they're different. If you look in the float bowl, I know this one is very filthy, but if you look, let me just find a pointer quickly. There's a pointer. If you look at where the fuel goes in for the accelerator pump circuit, it's quite a sizable hole there, which is cool. It's fine. If you look on this carby, it's very small and it's not opened properly, and there's a piece of burr on there. See there? There's a piece of burr on there, so it's very poorly, extremely poorly manufactured. And if that bends like that, that hole is going to be blocked altogether. So it's very poorly manufactured. So I've tried to get it out with my scribe, and that piece has actually gone inside that little channel. So the unlucky person that's gonna, not this one, but the unlucky person that's gonna get hold of a similar carb like this is never gonna be able to get that piece of shaving out of there, and it'll forever disturb your accelerator pump circuit. So over here we've got this air correction jet. This is a size 50, and the one on the Hong Kong carby looks pretty much the same. No sizes on it, but it looks pretty much the same. Alright, now we're going to flip it over and strip it further. So this hole here allows for vacuum below the butterflies to operate and pull this enrichment system, which in turn presses on that pin and plunger there as an enrichment system. And in the bottom of the carby, if you flip it over, that gets its air through there. And for that reason, they've made this bolt to have a hole through it. You can see there, it's got a hole right through it. So that when this is in and it's screwed in, the air will from here will draw and pull that enrichment plunger. And once the vacuum has dropped, obviously it will let go of that little plunger and it will enrich. This one, there's no hole in the screw. You can see that one has got a hole in the screw in the middle, and this one doesn't. So I don't know if it's just badly made or what the story is, but that enrichment system is not going to work. There is a hole through it, or there is a hole in it, but it's not right through. You can clearly see there. So in my opinion, that enrichment system is not going to work unless they think, I don't know, it can't get enough air through past the washer. And then you just turn it around like that. So that enrichment system, in my opinion, is not going to work. So I don't know that's just bad manufacturing. But this is the bolt from the original carby. You can see it's got a hole right through it. And this is the one from the Hong Kong model, and it's blocked. Maybe it was supposed to have a hole through, but it's, I don't know, bad workmanship or bad quality checks, but there's no hole through it. So in my opinion, I don't think that enrichment system is going to work on this carby. So again, if you want to go uphill and you need a bit of extra oomph, you're not going to have it. It's not working. It can't work. So I've taken it apart to there, and there's nothing obvious that jumps at me. It all pretty much looks the same. Functions pretty much the same. Very shiny material, this. And definitely lighter than this. And that probably feels about the same. Don't know what the quality of material is like. But there's nothing there that jumps at me. I'm going to just open the main jet wells and just see what's going on in there. I've taken both apart. Again, no sizes on the jets, but they look about the same as the originals. There's the originals with sizes on them. One thing that I did notice is this is old original carby, and you can see there's very little play on this butterfly. On this one, it says excessive play on it, on that shaft. So, yeah. I couldn't find a logo or a name or anything cast on this carby. All I found was that. Nowhere else is there any casting or anything on it. So I don't know who made this carb. I don't know how to trace that number. Original carb, it's got the Hitachi logo cast into the flow chamber over there. It also has the Hitachi logo cast into the top of the carby over there. So you know you're dealing with the original carb. So with the assembly of this carby, and I'm not going to go into too much detail because I'm gonna provide that. It's not my schematic, it's schematic that I found online that'll tell you and explain everything, and then I'll make one of these on the Excel spreadsheet so you know what to put where, so we don't get confused. But remember, this is the primary and that's the secondary, and the very importantly is that you put your correct emulsion tubes in. So I'm gonna get this side of the carby done. That's the secondary emulsion tube. The carby, the kit, these kits do come with jets on the back like that, and it tells you what goes where. It doesn't provide all the jets, so it's fine. That's why I'll do this, and then according to that we put the correct jets. Those are the main jets, by the way. We put the correct jets in the correct places. This is the bypass bleed, the bypass air bleed that goes on the side, that goes in there. I'll tighten them up just now. They give you a new idle jet. The idle jet goes in there, that screws in there, and it gets a cap. It gets that cap that goes on top of it. So idle jet, idle cap. This is the bypass bleed, secondary emulsion, primary emulsion. I'll put the correct air jets in according to our chart, and then I'm going to tighten all of that up and then flip the carby upside down, and we'll do the main jets quickly. So I've got the carby upside down. Remember, that's the primary. So I line up the jets where they must go according to the jet chart, and that's the secondary. So the primary is a 104 and the secondary is a 150. So I'm going to put those jets in, put the caps on. Remember, you get the new washers in the kit, so use your new washers. And then once that's done, I'll turn the carby back and we can assemble all the rest of it. There's this locking system that goes on here. I never put it on. I don't really know why they put it on there. I've never had any of those come loose. But if you feel you want to put it on, put it on. I don't. But that's up to you. So just to prevent confusion, I've made up this little chart with all the jet sizes. That number there is the number according to the schematic. And that's the jet size. And the same on that side, that number there is the number on the schematic. And that's the jet size. So hopefully that'll settle things. Unfortunately, although I know in the kit, in this case a kit that you get, a needle and seat, which is called a needle valve, which is number 7, and that one there doesn't have a number on it, but I've measured the hole and it is a 2, so it is the correct one. So we'll install that just now. I just want to finish with a starter plunger and all of that. So with the starter plunger, in there must be this little ball. You just drop in there, it'll go lie in its place, and then the spring goes on top, and then obviously the piston goes in. I'm going to test to make sure that it works, but for that to work you need this non-return in here. And what's very important on these cars is people over tighten them, and when they over tighten them, this gets bent, and it gets bent up, and on the cover that also gets bent, and once it gets bent it doesn't seal properly anymore, and the top gasket for this is a little core gasket, and it's important that it seals here properly, because if it doesn't seal there properly, your accelerator pump jet is not going to work. So I'll put a bit of fuel in there, get this plunger in, test it, and make sure that it works. We have to do that before we do any further assembly. I'm just going to set up like that. So I'll put the spring in, put the ball in and the spring in, and this is the accelerator plunger pump. And when I squeeze it, you can see fuel's coming out of there. And that's so important that seals properly, because if it doesn't, it's not going to squirt out there. So I'm just going to close it. I hope you can see there. And now you can see it's squirting out where it's supposed to. I'll try and shed some more light on it. I've got a head torch on. I just want to... There we go. You can see how nicely it squirts. So now you know you won't have a flat spot. So that's cool. Now we can continue with the rest of the assembly. So with the needle and seat, you get a new little filter for there, and a new aluminium gasket. We just screw it on nice and tightly, and then we'll adjust the float level correctly. So with the float level, rule of thumb is that it sits like that, about parallel. You can squeeze it a little bit more down. But once everything is together, you're obviously going to see the correct float level on your little viewing glass there. So you might have to take it off once or twice to get it correct. The carburetor top on is a bit of a swinging action that you need to do to get this link in. You can't put the top on and then put the link. You need to swing this that way and turn the top the other way around to hook these two little ends in of this link. It's for the fast idle. When you pull the choke, it's for your fast idle, so you have to put that in. But what I wanted to show you guys, and I don't know if I'll be able to do it, but in there, what I'm shining, I had a bit of a leakage there when I pressed the pump accelerator, and that's caused by people over tightening this, And then I believe to make it seal better, they just tighten it more. This is just a little core gasket that's in here. So the two important screws is obviously that one, this one, and the one at the back, the one over there, to make this seal properly. And if it doesn't seal properly there, you're also not going to have your enrichment system work properly, because if there's leakage on there, it's not going to work. So it's very important to make sure that your carby top isn't bent or buckled or anything. And that's also why I haven't put this on yet, is to be able to prime and plunger, make sure that it squirts and not leak before I assemble this whole setup here. In the kit you also get the idle mixture screw that simply goes in there. I usually turn it in all the way softly till it seats, and then 2.5 turns out. That's a good start to start adjusting idling. There we go, good serviceable carby. Right, conclusion time. Personally, I wouldn't advise to buy this Hong Kong carb unless you're in trouble. I would rather rebuild and service your original carb because of the fact that the Venturi is too small. Number one. Number two, the enrichment system didn't have a hole through, and it's just not the same. There's no jet sizes in it. You don't know what jet sizes they are, although they look there or thereabout. The needle valve, was too small on the needle and seat. You're gonna have a surge when you need power, when you run up a hill, or when you have a bit of load, when you work with your van or whatever. So only in an extreme emergency would I use this carb, and there are some of the spares that you can use to rebuild your original carb. But the best is rebuild your original carby. There it is, nothing wrong with it. This is the old one that I bought from a guy. He put it together incorrectly, it wouldn't work. Serviced, and it can give you many miles more. On the original ones, if the shafts wear out, we do replace, we do ream them out and replace with brass bushes like we do on the Webbers. So that's possible. So it is possible that these carbies can last a very long time. Sometimes this little butterfly is worn, this little butterfly here. I'm not so sure if we can reboost that. I'm pretty sure we can. I haven't done it before, but I'm sure we can reboost that. But anyway, I hope this helps someone. Be safe out there.